Next, we've got John Ferguson, who again, I'm tempted to say an old boys club, but I don't think that'll go down too well. John Ferguson, again, like David, was one of the founder members of Britpave. So again, he's going to give his view briefly on where Britpave came from and where we hope to take Britpave in the future. Over to John. Thank you.
Morning all. Really pleased to be doing this, as everyone who knows me well, because normally I manage to bottle out, and I would have bottled out even more if I'd known Mr. Dumoulin was here this morning, because I would have delegated it to him. But he kept that very quiet. I just follow David's sort of finish. Concrete roads. Anyone that knows me knows I'm concrete roads. That's me. That's what I want. That's what I've always wanted. I've probably now worked on more than anyone in the country, I suspect. My first one was M27 at Fareham. My last one was Aberdeen. A great contract, by the way, although it's not had some good press. Right, founder member. I had the privilege of working for Mike Welton. And anyone who knew Mike Welton knew he was ever such a friendly animal, but the word was animal. When he said, you jumped. And you certainly jumped, and you jumped high. The picture you see there was Mike's. Basically, Mike took on the whole of Balfour Beatty to buy that whole setup for concrete roads for M25 Chertsey Wisley. And it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And it changed the way concrete roads were done a little bit. You see the side tippers, you see the train, and he had a vision to move concrete roads on. So he started, as David said, Britpave with the founder members, and basically his vision was to get an impartial body that shared best practice and basically gave people the chance to talk together and, try to break this contractor versus contractor good ideas. Everyone kept it to themselves and everyone made the same mistakes. I remember we brought the foreman down from a job, I think it was up near Rickmansworth somewhere, and they'd ripped up so much concrete road, it was unreal. And he started making the same mistakes. And we thought, no, let's sit down, let's talk. Let's all talk, what's gone wrong? So we did. And it really started to work. So then we got it from multiple sectors. We looked at consultants, as they said, and got consultants involved. And then we looked at how we might do it differently. And it basically really started to move on. So, excellent. Benefits to Balfour Beatty. Right, well, as I've just said, we got access to all sorts of different people, technical managers, you name it, because we got the consultants in. We were sharing problems. We started to use and create new publications, new guidance notes. And all of a sudden we found that we were being seen as a voice of experience, not as a biased contractor, a voice of experience that people could look at and say, actually, these guys aren't looking at money, they're not looking at their own commercial, they're looking at how the job should be done right and making it better. So it really, really did move on for that. Task group membership, well, they're excellent, absolutely excellent. And the one thing that does worry me when I look around here is we need some young grads, we need some apprentices, we need far more diversity. There are too many old faces that we all know. So we need to try and change that. But yes, we ended up with a large group, like-minded people, all trying to promote what we believe was right. Concrete roads, other aspects of it, concrete slip forming, slot drain, exactly. So basically, there was also, when you got in trouble, you could ring someone. If we had HBM or CBM troubles, who did we ring? We rang David, because he was the best. That's why he was invited in. Oh, well, it still is. Your organisation's still the best. So you could ring them and you'd talk. And because you built up what we've built up here, you actually trusted each other. You know, it wasn't a case of, he's trying to stitch me up, you know, that was contracting in those days. It really was. You know, the things I would now get instant dismissal for, I was expected to do daily. Quite seriously, you know. Highways England are here now, I better shut up. Oh, quite seriously, you know, there were all sorts of tricks going on, you know, but that was ending. We were all working together. And the other thing in the early days, which is completely gone now, is we used to have an awful lot of fun. Did you go to Brecon? Did you go to the visit to Brecon? What a crazy day that was, wasn't it? We all got on a plane at Heathrow. I think we flew to, was it Aberdeen or Edinburgh? Edinburgh. We flew to Edinburgh, and as we flew up, it was getting a bit bumpy. The weather was turning. But by the time we got to Edinburgh, there was a bit of sleet, I think, if I remember right. And then I think we had an hour and a half drive to Brecon to see this concrete road being put down. And by the time we got there was about 3 inches of snow. So we didn't actually see much, apart from the fact they were still laying. And because of my situation now, I drive that road very regularly. And Transport Scotland are looking to do some work on it. And it would be great if we could engage with them and try and learn some of the lessons of some of the stuff we did at Aberdeen when we had a few problems that worked. And we'd love to pass that on. I just wish we could broaden that a bit more. Right. Contributions, our contributions. There have been a few. We were involved in the original... Sorry, have you been getting me? Yeah. We were involved in the original trials for the barrier. 1981, I think, Phil, maybe 82.
90.
Sorry. Yes, Banbury. Sorry, Banbury, yeah. And I remember going on holiday and I'd lent Phil to work with Rory and a few others for 3 days to do some trials at Myra on this new barrier everyone was looking at. I went to Florida for 3 weeks, came back to Banbury, where I was working at the time, another concrete road. And I said, "Where's Phil?" He said, "He's still at Myra." I said, "You what?" A month later, they were still playing with concrete, and as Rory said, he's never shoveled so much concrete in all his life as he did on that. But it worked. We got there. And that was due to Britpave. That was one of Britpave pushed and pushed and pushed the barrier. Every time there was a crossover, away they went into the press. You know, why is this happening? There's a solution. Pushed by Britpave. Okay, so there's been lots of technical brochures produced and they're industry accepted. You go into a client now and if you take a Britpave document, the client says, "Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with that." You take a document branded Balfour Beatty or Costain or whatever, it means nothing. Nothing at all. So, and we've attended, in fact, I think we've had a presence on every task group, or deliberately, some more successful than others. Roads has been incredibly successful. Stabilisation, take my hat off to you. Well, take my hat off to you. Incredible work. Incredible work. Airfields, a little bit of success, Phil. Rewriting the spec. Took a bit of doing, but we got there in the end. I think it took about 15 years, didn't it? And we're just about there, aren't we? Or we are there, I think. Roller compacted concrete, great. Now in the spec. An option. Got to be the right thing to do. I've got a vision about how roads will go in the future, and it definitely involves roller compacted, without any doubt whatsoever. But my visions for the future are probably disappearing over the hill, because we're going to have some young people with different visions. And, you know, we look at then at resolving technical issues. We've put a lot of effort into giving information for the cube strength versus density and all that type of thing, documents being published. And to be honest, what was in the specification didn't work, and we proved it, and it's now been changed. So, you know, basically, industry and clients are listening to what we say, and that's great, confidence. Well, successes for Balfour Beatty. Well, numerous, absolutely numerous. because of our involvement with Britpave. Slip form, the barrier. I remember a lovely day where most people in this room will know the very quiet Mr. Davidson, and sitting on the M25 when someone had decided, not us, that we were going to slip form a 2.2 metre wall, which no one had ever done before, and we had enough yellow jackets, enough this and that around us to sink a battleship. And Peter and I lost the rag completely and told them all politely that we'd rather like them to disappear. In Peter and my fashion. I've got a bit better, Peter hasn't got much better. But we did it rather impolitely, to be perfectly honest. But about 2 hours later, we slipped it. And it's on the M25 for all to see now, 2.2 metres high. I don't think anyone's done more. But Peter was so pleased, and it took us so long, that basically he jumped in his brand new Range Rover, which I hadn't been in, and decided to show me how fast it would go in the site compound, right past the project manager's office. To which I got a call on my mobile phone summoning me to ban him from the job. I said, well, we've just slipped that 2.2 metre wall. What do you want to do? Yeah, that's a bit interesting, isn't it? Give him a bollocking, John. But we have delivered numerous complex schemes. We've delivered M25 widening. The one for me that says it all is, and I will keep saying this till I end up in a box, when all the major clients looked at DBFO schemes, they all looked at how they would build pavements, whether they do, early and then top them up later with asphalt. Every single client went for a concrete road. Why? Because they were funded by banks, and banks understood. We all drive down the road now. I can drive, and David will say the same. There's roads out there that are 50 years old. I drove Ilminster bypass recently. It looks like brand new. Looks like brand new. I left there the night of the storms. There's hardly a repair on it. Hardly a repair on it. So it works. It simply works, and we have to push this forward for the future. I've got lots of visions about the future. Everyone's worried about noise. We can sort that. Britpave can help. We're looking at that at the moment, aren't we, Steve? Noise and everything. So it's sortable. We've just got to get the voice out there and get some young voice to bring it forward. Soil stabilisation back to, sorry, I'm jumping about a bit, but, soil stabilisation went through a bad time, and I was right at the heart of that bad time, but I won't say any more. And for 8 or 10 years, no one really wanted to stabilise anywhere. The risks were too high. We all got together through Britpave. We looked at what we could do, looked at specs, looked at different materials types, and we all got confidence back. Confidence enough that my company in joint venture with Vancier are about to stabilise 7 million cube on HS2. Yeah, that's pretty significant. Also a bit of a challenge for Lime. So, lots of novel solutions came out of thinking as well, thinking differently. We did a job recently in Norfolk where we used a class 3 in situ formation out of local materials, local sands, Talked with a client, didn't need departures, forward-thinking client, did the trials, go for it, absolutely. So that's the way it should be. It's the way we've got to get to. Moving together, joint decisions. Future changes in the industry and challenges. I hate to tell you how long I've been in this industry, but what a difference to when I joined. The trust, moving together in alliances with clients, is absolutely essential. We've got to share. We've got to share innovation. We've got to work together. The old adversarial stuff just doesn't work. Closer working with supply chain partners, more open book, understanding each other's issues, not man-marking people. When I started in the industry, we had consultants checking all our materials. My MD thought I was crazy when I went to go for a UCAS lab. What do you want to do that for? I said, because there's no point in us doing any tests if we've got a UCAS certificate against us. It's meaningless. Now, those people don't exist. It's moved on significantly. Again, client confidence, contractor trust, absolutely essential now, and we've got it. We've got it with national highways. We've got it with HS2. It exists, and a lot of it is due to Britpave and bringing people together. greater self-certification. Everyone does it now, you've got to. However, there's a tremendous skills shortage. And we, as an industry, you've only got to look here, not enough young people, nowhere near, get them in. In France, civil engineering stroke, whatever, is right up there with being a lawyer. It's not in this country, so we've got to move towards that. We really have. Challenge for Britpave and industry, they're very similar. We've got to get a younger and more diverse membership, absolutely. Build industry recognition, centre of valued expertise, going to the younger and doing things differently, thinking differently. 5 years ago, Phil was my number 2 at the time. We identified that the skills weren't there. The technical skills were just not there. We invested on a graduate and apprentice scheme within Balfour's. 30% of my staff now are under 5 years, young, enthusiastic, and they are going to change industry. They really are. I wouldn't believe some of the skills that are there. They're incredible, and we're not using them. We need to use them more. We need to lead innovation, change in a rapidly changing market. I've always believed that on every highways job awarded in the UK, there should be a clause that says you must do a 200-metre trial length of some form of different pavement construction. The client and contractor buy into risk, not just the contractor. You buy into that risk, you monitor it, and then for the future, you can see whether it works or doesn't work, and go forward. You know, it took me over 7 years to get a trial of roller compacted concrete. 7 years. It was only because I wouldn't give up that we got it in the end. It's working like a dream up in Norfolk. Working like a dream. And we've got to capitalise on that and push clients forward. They're getting there. Absolutely getting there. Whole life cost. Now, I've got to be very careful here because I will break into print when I retire. But it's not considered. It's not being considered now. And it has to be. Absolutely has to be. You know, I was in a meeting recently with, I went to with which client, and he just said to me, there's teams meeting, surprise, surprise, it's great to see everyone out here now. He said, you know the project, they were asking about carbon, they were asking about carbon neutral, all of this, the vision. And I said, well, you know, how do we do it together? He said, he instantly came back because it was cost, said, you've got fixed price target cost, build it. It took me quite a bit of resistance to say, you ain't getting it, not to say, well, you ain't having it. Because I'd love a Rolls Royce, but unfortunately I can only drive an Audi. So you've got to pay for it. We've all got to pay for it. We've got to invest and work together. And that's where we can use Britpave to help us. Thank you. Thank you all. But great to see you all. And it's probably the last presentation I'll ever do.